Hello, welcome back to the Krell Laboratories podcast. I am your hostess, Christiane Benedict, and my guest today is Donna K, who I've known for a long time through film festival screening. And what are you doing these days?
Right now, I am programming for Athena Film Festival at Barnard College in New York. I think the fest is March 6th through 9th. I can't remember. I'm also screening for a few fests and teaching the fundamentals of written journalism at the MU Journalism School. Yeah, and I
Uh,
wrote a book. Did I tell you? Did you know
you
that?
did not tell me
I did.
you wrote a book. You need to tell me
Yeah, I'm sorry.
tell me about your book, and maybe people will buy the book from seeing this podcast.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, do you know the 33 and a third series?
I do.
Yeah, so I did a book on Cat Power's Moonpix. It came out, I think, like 2 years ago, maybe three, at this point. And I've been doing a few things related to that too. I did some talks, and apparently something called the Sad Dads Book Club is interested in doing something with me. So I hope that comes through.
You don't seem like a sad dad to me, though.
No, it's funny. It's like a book club that's for people for books that are mentioned in the national songs, but they're starting some other project. I don't know, because I do not talk about the national in my book.
So the subject today is the substance, and I was I thought of you because a mutual friend of ours said that you know how to pronounce Coralie Farge's name, and you don't.
It's a lie. That's just a lie. I think she said that because we saw Revenge together, um, and we're obsessed with it after we saw it. So maybe she just assumed that I learned.
Well, that's disappointing because I have no clue. I saw I think it was Mark Kermode review the substance, and he pronounced it Fargier, and I'm like,
It sounds right. I don't know. I
I mean,
I
it's
wanna give it I wanna give it a hard T, and I don't know why, because it's not like a TTE. I
yeah.
don't know. My French grandmother is, like, spinning in her grave right now.
Oh no.
She's
So when did you see it? What was the circumstances of seeing the substance?
Um, I went to a matinee, uh, at Ragtag Cinema in Columbia, the day it opened, and there were 7 of us in the theater, and by the time it was over, there were 5.
Oh my God.
Everyone keeps talking about how great the end is with a full theater, and I was like, "I guess, I don't know."
I saw it on Tuesday at the multiplex, and there were about 9 people there.
You
So,
beat me.
which shocked me because it was like a 4 o'clock show
Yeah, mine
on
was
a
like
weekday.
2:30. Yeah, mine was 2:30 on a Friday, so but
And I
still.
mean, I tend to sit way up front. I sit in like the third or second row, and this is a one of those films that you kind of have to bring a poncho to make sure that you don't get splattered on from the movie. But during the last act of it, I could hear a bunch of nervous laughter behind me. It was wonderful.
I'm trying to remember when the people walked out that left, because it was a couple and the guy left, and then, like, 15 minutes later, the woman left, and I was trying to, like, figure out what the trigger was, and I couldn't figure it out, but also the staggered leaving made me laugh for some reason. I was like, "That seems right." Like, he
That
doesn't
does seem right.
understand. Yeah. Like, yeah.
So the movie itself is about celebrity culture and aging and the place of women in the male gaze. Um, and it is about an aging actress who has been reduced to hosting an aerobic show, a la the Jane Fonda workout, who has been fired because she's aged out of her role, and she gets into a car accident, and the very handsome doctor on the case uh, gives her the information of finding the substance with the caveat that it changed my life. And boy, howdy, does it change her life. um, what are your initial thoughts on the film?
I mean, I loved it. I mean, I loved the filmmaker's first film, Revenge, like, so much. I've never laughed at the amount of fake blood, like, just the like usage of it and the like effectiveness of it. I've never had like a comedic response to it or seen it used in that way. And I was just obsessed with that film. So I was really excited about this and it lived up to my expectations.
It,
I love it.
I mean, it seems to me that it's a lot like Revenge insofar as the ending of both films um, challenges an audience to contemplate how much blood is there actually in a human body.
I know. I actually read the stat today that there were 36,000 gallons of fake blood used in that last scene of the substance. I don't know if that's accurate. I didn't fact check it, but it was at like Entertainment Weekly. So I think that they might do their work.
You never know.
Yeah, true. True.
Um,
How
I
about
mean,
you? What was your initial response?
my initial response was that it was very similar to Revenge insofar as it is an interesting contrast between, between the expectations of beauty of the male gaze and the actual reality of women's bodies as they age. Um, and in that regard, I think it's perfect that Demi Moore is the primary star of the film because she is
Oh.
perhaps most famous for that magazine cover of herself when she was pregnant and very naked,
Mm.
which is like one of the most famous celebrity photographs ever. And so she's been challenging, the realities of what the female body is actually like in a celebrity culture for a long time. And yet this is her first horror movie.
Is it really?
I think so, yeah.
Wow. Well, some of her 80s movies could be considered horror movies if we
Well,
look back on them now. But no,
yeah.
no, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I think, wow. I
I
never
mean,
really
in
thought
her
about
heyday, she was making, big commercial films with Tom Cruise and Robert
that.
Redford now she's making a horror movie. I mean, this is kind of totally a hag exploitation movie, kind of like Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, or actually, if you want to go back even further, it's a lot like All About Eve.
Yeah. Mm,
Um, because I mean, you have an older actress and a younger actress fighting over the same part, and the
yeah.
same part in this particular movie happens to be, their life. You know,
Yeah, it's funny when you said like the male gaze because when I watched it, I mean, assumed male gaze, but then the ending of it made me think it was just all gaze. Like it's sort of like the audience's role in general, just everyone's kind of like complicitness in this culture. Um, yeah, I don't know. Made me it made me think about again, like it did make me think about my role watching this thing. Like, am I objectifying this girl? The younger version of her, watching her perform in the way she is. Like, am I complicit because I'm watching this? I don't know. And it kind of like it definitely like head tripped me a little bit in the middle at some point where I was like, I'm not sure. Like, am I bad? Like, am I part of the problem? Am I the problem?
I don't know that it's framed in the male gaze for big chunks of its running time, but I think it sort of tips its hand when Margaret Qualley, as the younger version, Sue, goes back to, um, I guess she's doing the New Year's show, and she runs into her boss, played with just skin crawling reptilian awfulness by Dennis Quaid. And he's surrounded by all of his shareholders, and they're all the same little old white man with white hair.
Yeah.
And and at that point, I'm like, okay, this is totally aware that the expectations of beauty culture are totally catering to old white men and
Yeah,
their
yeah.
fantasies.
It's true, that's true. I guess too though, like the young boy who introduces her to the substance, like I really wanted to know his story. I mean, I know he wasn't supposed to, he's not part of the story really, but I wondered how he ended up in that position of feeling this was necessary for him and his lifestyle. I don't know.
Yeah, and where was he along in the process, for that matter? Because I mean, when we meet him
Yeah.
again in the diner, I mean, he is considerably older than Demi Moore's character is at the start of the process. Um,
Yeah.
and when he says, "Is she eating you yet?" I
Oof.
wonder how long he's been eating himself.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Gross.
such a
Yeah.
creepy film.
It's so creepy. I also liked the, like, pyramid scheme aspect of it in some way, 'cause he's, like, recommending her for it, and, I don't know, for some reason, that element of it made me laugh too, like, because I
And they
do
never
feel
really talk about the economics of it, though. They never
no,
tell you how much it
no.
costs her. They don't
There's
tell her. I mean, they don't. There's no details on how she's paying for it. Is there an economic model? Who knows?
no, I liked how it left out so much context and, like, background. It was just like, "Nah, not necessary." It made it the fantasy feel like, more I don't know, it just made it feel more of like a fantasy, which I really appreciated. I wondered if it annoyed other people though, that there wasn't more, like, detail or, like, specifics or, "I want the science behind this."
Yeah, but it doesn't matter though.
No, it
None of it.
doesn't
None
at
of it
all.
matters.
It doesn't at all. I was just like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever."
I mean, those kind of peoples are the people that demand elaborate backstories for mad slashers and slasher movies.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that is the classic mistake of a slasher movie is they give you too much background, and it's like I don't care. You're draining the character of mystery.
So true, and, like, yeah, like, I don't know. What was the, um what was I gonna say? Sorry, I don't remember. I was gonna say something about, the the opening and how the, like, Hollywood Walk of Fame opening and the ending. I was, like, um, thinking, like, I don't know where I was going with that, sorry. I just got distracted because I heard something outside. Sorry. I apologize, Christiane.
It's okay. We'll fix it in
Um,
post.
thanks. Edit that out.
I'll just edit it right out.
Um, but, mm, the Hollywood element, what was I thinking?
Hollywood Walk of Fame and how I
Walk
mean
of
they
Fame,
go they assemble it with such care and then it deteriorates so fast.
deteriorates, yeah, and I get again, like, that's another thing that, like, the complicity of the audience that was important, like, that's another area where it felt, like, pronounced to me, a lot, like, yeah, we celebrated this thing coming into the ground, and, like, we had, like, this thing and a photo op and everything, and then we just kind of, like, let it deteriorate in this way as a society and forget all about it. It was
Well,
just I don't know, it's just sad.
well, stars are kind of a totem for the director though, because I
Mhm.
mean, in Revenge, Matilda Lutz is wearing those star earrings,
Yeah.
and then the first time we see Sue in the aerobic studio, she's wearing almost the same star earrings.
Yes, they were little diamonds.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Huh.
So there's a connective tissue running through that,
Yeah.
and the character in Revenge is that I mean, her aspiration was to go to Hollywood to become a star. I mean, on the
Yeah.
back of her modeling career.
I wonder, like, where the director sees herself in the system. Like, I don't know. I would wonder because
Um,
she's using the stars. She's making a statement with them, but she's still like their star power is part of the thing that fuels her film and people seeing it. Like,
well,
do you
certainly.
think people would see this if Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley weren't in it? No.
Well, there weren't really any big stars in Revenge,
No, yeah, that's true, that's true.
but that was also an international production, and mostly made its name on the festival circuit first.
Yeah, that's where I saw it originally. Yeah, I feel like at the end I applauded. There was a press and industry screening, and then when no one really liked that.
Oops.
I was like, "Whatever, y'all need to like this movie and program it everywhere."
I thought, well, that movie could have been. I mean, that movie could have been released wide. I think it would have made money. I mean, it
Yeah,
isn't a disreputable genre because it's a rape revenge movie, but
yeah,
I mean, there have been successful ones in the past.
yeah, and it's a new updated version. A
and
much
yeah,
needed updated version.
and brutally violent at that.
And so much blood.
So much blood. I mean, this is another movie that I was like contemplating just how much blood is in the human body. I mean, particularly at the end, and the um, I mean, do we give away the end, because it is a
Ooh,
monster? It is a monster movie, and it's best to
yeah,
discover that monster on your own.
yeah.
But in the chaos at the end of the movie, I mean, it really starts to tip its hand as a Hollywood film, with its music cues, because
Mm,
I mean, you have a little bit of the music from Vertigo as she's putting on earrings. Earrings are
mm.
another sort of
Earrings.
talisman for the director.
Strange.
And then when things just go completely pear shaped, they're using the Pino Donaggio score from Carrie.
Hmm. I thought I recognized that for sure. Yeah. It's funny, the earrings. I never really thought about that, but it's like a socially acceptable form of body mutilation.
Yeah, body modification. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's kind of it's funny to think about it as sort of like a gateway into what we're willing to do for um fashion, style, whatever, like, I don't know, to augment ourselves. Never
which
really
is
thought about that, but
kind of the this movie in microcosm.
yeah, exactly, exactly, but it just seems like such a small detail, but you're right that it's pronounced in both films. I wonder if that's something they thought about.
Yeah, I
I
think.
once a side note, I was once at Film Forum, and these 2 ladies behind me were having a discussion about how, earrings were low class. They were like, "Piercing your skin and harming your body, that's so disgusting and low class," and then the woman said, "But aren't you wearing earrings?" to the other one, and she went, "They are clip-ons." And for some reason, that story that, like, stuck with me as, like, sort of this, like, they were much older than me at the time, and it stuck with me, like, yeah, there's this sort of outwardly appearance that this person wants to have, and they don't think that it's like they don't wanna harm themselves for it, but they want that appearance. I just thought it was, like, the strangest, like, exchange ever.
I mean, there's definitely a class element to body modification. I mean, earrings and piercings generally come from, you know, I mean, biker culture, and comes from queer culture. And, it comes from people who are ordinarily not very wealthy. I
Yeah, but
mean,
it was more like the, like, judgment of it, and then also the, like, acceptance of it at the same time. It's like, "Oh, I think it's just dastardly," and also, yes, I'm wearing earrings.
well, I mean, I'm sort of, um, I mean, Columbia, Missouri, where we are both, is having its Pride Festival this weekend.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's striking to me the um, the proliferation of the queer haircut for women. Um, because I mean, I never used to see undercuts or fades on women.
Mm.
Back in the early days of my own coming out, which was in like the '90s, and suddenly everyone has it, so that I can't determine from hairstyling. It jams my gaydar, as it were. And I mean, this is sort of sort of a class thing, sort of seeping into the culture. So I don't know that this has anything whatsoever to do with the substance,
Well,
though.
no,
But
because I think for me, like, it does, because it's like the, like, little gateways into, like, how we change ourselves for, like, cultural signifiers, like, w okay, I'll just pierce my ear, that's okay, and then it's like, "Okay, I'm gonna get tattoos all over my body," just sort of the, like, little, like, steps that we take, and I think that's the thing that was really, like, I related to this as a middle-aged woman completely in this film, like, "Okay, I'm gonna start wearing this, like, makeup to try to look like, change this, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more," like, where's that line of,
yeah,
like, it being okay and it being a problem or it becoming like painful or hurtful. I mean, let's not talk about Botox, which is just injecting poison into your face to try to
Right.
get rid of wrinkles, you know? So I do think it kind of relates because there's this that was something I found very compelling in the film. Those little like just those like just a
And
little bit further, a little bit further, a little, and then like how far is too far
yeah, and
and
then when does it stop working for you? I mean,
yeah,
that scene
yeah.
where she's about to, I mean, she's made arrangements to have a date with her high school friend, and she can't bring herself to walk out the door because she can't satisfy her own self-image. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
one of the most striking scenes in movies this year.
Ooh, yeah, that was oh god, that was painful. Ugh. But again, like I related to that in some small way. I was just like, "Whoa." I like what's the I don't know. And then like what has to change to make it that whole culture stop, you
I
know?
know,
Like
right?
how much that's the thing that and then I keep coming back to like the audience. Like I felt like there was that a split second at the end where I felt like it could go one way or the other, you know? I was like maybe they will love the monster. Maybe.
And the movie
Just
sets that up.
maybe.
And the movie sets that up with her vision of returning as the monster, you
Yeah.
know, walking down that hallway that looks very much like it came out of The Shining. Um,
Yeah. Whoa, yeah. Oh my goodness. So many references in this film too. If like
well, yeah,
I can't even like begin. Every time I think about it, I'm like, "Oh yeah, that too. Oh yeah, that too." Just like
I think
so it's like a
it's
movie nerd's like dream.
yeah. Well, it's not just a movie nerd's dream. I mean, it's a cultural anthropologist's dream
Yeah.
because it goes back into like fairy tales. I mean, the
Yeah,
doppelganger, the
yeah.
changeling, the picture of Dorian Gray, the secret
Yeah,
sharer. Um,
totally. It's all of them all at once.
yeah,
Just yeah, yeah.
it's
Yeah,
Doctor
and
it's Doctor Jekyll and Mister Hyde,
yeah, and then but then yeah, so again,
and
like,
then
this is just, like, so embedded in our culture in our cultural
yeah.
stories that, like, how do we even begin to, like, confront them was
I mean,
something I mean, this
that's
movie is
yeah.
what yeah, yeah,
It, it's the nature of genre, though.
yeah, yeah.
There are a number of elements in the myth pool that genre assembles repeatedly, and this one just uses an unusual number of them.
Yeah. I wonder what the, like how people feel about it who have no, like, genre love or background or, like I haven't really read that much. I do know that, like, I looked at, like, Rotten Tomatoes or something, and it was, like, one of those films that just had, like, a million fives and then, like, a million ones. The polarizing films that are my favorite
Yeah,
always. So it may I wonder what the, like, critical reception is outside of, like,
I've seen
film
a lot of
people.
good reviews of it. I don't think that I've seen too many really negative reviews. The ones that the ones that I have seen have been sort of the nitpicky, how does this work sort of
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
you know, or the ones from upset incel types.
Oh,
So
yeah, those. Oh, yes, those.
I don't I don't take those seriously. I mean,
No,
you're always gonna get some of those. I mean,
no, definitely,
unless something's made specifically for that demographic, you're always gonna get those.
definitely. Oh, man.
Which of course is the theme of the movie too.
Yeah, right, right. Dennis Quaid, how did they get him that shade of orange was my question. It was like the
It's I like to think that they held up like a color palette to like a screen showing one of Trump's speeches.
seriously though, just they're so,
And
so perfect.
I love that he's named Harvey.
Well, I know, I know. They were just like, "We're going for
Yeah,
it."
this is yeah. Corley Fargia does not use subtlety. I
No.
mean, she prefers bludgeons, and she preferred bludgeons and revenge too.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 definitely. But yeah, you're right, Harvey. I totally forgot that he was named Harvey,
Yeah, and then
and that he
they filmed him with such short lenses.
yeah. It's true.
I mean, especially when he was like, at lunch eating shrimp, and it was just, oh my
Oh,
god,
that was so
that's possibly the
disgusting.
most revolting thing in the movie. And this is a movie that just spills gallons and gallons of blood at the end.
Yeah, no, that was absolutely gross, and, like, her watching him and, like, her kind of, like, shielded disgust too was just, like, beautiful. I was like, "Oh, yeah, we've all been in that spot
Oh yeah.
where we're like, 'Yes, everything you do is great.'" Ugh.
I mean, it astonishes me that this performance exists alongside the biopic of Ronald Reagan that he's in at the same time.
Whoa. Ugh. Ugh. What was the I didn't really think about this, but the time period of the substance.
I don't know, because there are cell phones in it,
Yeah, yeah, because I thought it was like a throwback.
but I
Um,
mean, it looks so much like the 1980s that you can I mean, you can almost see the clouds of cocaine wafting
yeah.
onto the
I mean,
screen.
my favorite, like, thing that I've seen more and more in horror movies in the past, like, I don't know, decade or so, has been that, like, lack of time period, just sort of this, like, mashup of, like, every time period at once. There was
Yeah.
that one, werewolf baby movie. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Um,
Oh, I can't
oh,
remember the
Good
name.
Manners?
Yeah, Good Manners was like that.
Yeah, I love that film, by the way.
Then that yeah, no, that I love that movie. And then there was like, the one with the one that took place in Detroit with the pool scene.
Oh, that's It Follows.
Yeah, It Follows, because that one I thought it was like the '70s, and then all of a sudden she has this like little compact computer and it's like bloop, 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 bloop. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
And
So I
that thing doesn't even exist. That's like, like out of time.
Future, yeah, exactly, and, like, that I found in this movie too. It was like I couldn't quite place what decade we were supposed to be in or what
Yeah.
time period, and I'm like, I love movies that do that. It makes me feel like the way that we experience culture now on the internet, where it's just sort of like you could access any culture, any movie, anything
Yeah.
you want right now, and it just feels so, like, I don't know, it feels so reflective of the way that I experience life. I kind of love it.
Well, horror
Um,
movies have been doing that for a long time. They exist
yeah.
in what I like to call, I mean, particularly gothic horror movies. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
when does say Hammer's Kiss of the Vampire takes place? I mean, it's got peasants, it's got the Lord of the Manor, but the heroes drive into onto the screen in an automobile. So,
I don't know that one, but that's
like,
great.
I mean, it's like, I mean, I call this sort of thing like horror movie land.
Horror
It's where it
movie
takes
it's
place.
in horror movie land.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know, but I think there's, like,
this one
the No, go ahead, what?
this one reminds me of. It seems like it's an offshoot of the Overlook Hotel, is where it takes place.
Yeah, 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 the,
Because
like,
you've got that
that
long
hallway.
corridor, and then,
Ugh.
the depot where she picks up her stuff looks like, that room at the end of 2001.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so I mean, it's, basically horror movie land.
Horror movie land.
Yeah, it's just the cocaine inspired part of the horror movie land.
True, definitely not a pot world.
No.
No. Yeah.
What did you think of Demi Moore in the film?
I thought she did it well for how insane of a character that was to do, you know? Um, I don't know, how did you feel about it?
About the first half of the movie, I'm like, okay, this is going to wind up on an Oscar reel. This is going to wind up on an Oscar reel. And then the second half of the movie shows up, and I'm like, there's no way this is going to wind up on an Oscar reel because this is not going to go anywhere near the Academy Awards.
I don't know, it could, right? Didn't it win, like, screenplay at Cannes or something?
Yeah,
Like
but I mean, the Oscars don't care about Cannes, though.
no, I know, but, like, it feels like it should it should get something or
Maybe.
special no, I was gonna say special effects, but no way, that's not
Yeah, I mean, I'm already like slotting Demi Moore and maybe Margaret Qualley as well, into the Tony Collette commemorative award for performances in horror movies that should be nominated but Oscars, but because they're in horror movies, they're not.
yeah, that's a really, really good point, yeah.
Because I
I
mean,
don't
you got performances like Hereditary, and then you got Lupita Nyong'o and in Us, and
yeah, yeah.
Rebecca Hall in Resurrection, and Mia Goth in Pearl. I mean, these are the
Oof,
sorts of films.
man,
Yeah,
yeah.
that are great performances, but they just don't get the recognition because it's a horror movie. It's a disreputable genre.
Yeah, no, that's true. And also, I don't wanna give away the end of the film, but her acting in that moment was also
Oh
incredible.
god, she's
I
so
was trying
amazing.
to imagine how that happened, like, how it was filmed even, like, and I was just sort of like, "Wow, that's a
Yeah, was
lot
that
of work."
was that prosthetics? Was it CGI? Was it both?
Like, that performance alone, to me, I was just like, "Yeah, she deserves something for this because that's just what? Amazing." Yeah. Man, I don't wanna spoil it. I'm
Yeah.
trying really hard to be quiet.
I
But
don't know. I don't think any good movie can be spoiled, but we're being polite here.
we are, yeah, it's true. Margaret Qualley, what do I have a love-hate relationship with her for some reason, but what did you think?
I think she was pretty much perfect for the role.
Yeah.
I don't think it asks her to do much, beyond being, photogenic and young.
Yeah.
And they just, like, completely fetishize her. I mean,
Yeah.
the aerobics show that she steps into that, that Elizabeth has been fired from, I mean, it's essentially the same damn show, but it is completely different because of the
Yeah.
way it's shot with an emphasis
Oof.
on just fetishizing, Margaret Qualley's skin and the amount of clothing she's not wearing and the the little slash of pink eyeliner that she's wearing. It's just, I mean, it's almost
I
pornographic.
know, that was the point where I was watching it, where I was like, "I'm complicit in this objectification right now,"
Yeah,
because it was a lot. I mean, it's strange because I, like, yeah, I felt that completely, that it was, like, an odd porn, but then, like, it's funny because I didn't like, the neighbor character who, like, tries to hit on her afterwards, that, like, undid all of the, like, sexual tension of it for me or something. It was sort of like, "Oh, it's serving that guy." Like, I don't know. I, like, it just, like, made it, I don't know, it just didn't make it feel as, like, I guess I'm saying that it didn't make me feel like I was doing anything wrong after they introduced that guy, because I was like, "Oh, that's wrong. I'm better than that, I think, because I'm not." I don't know. But am I? I'm watching this right now. I paid money to see her in this position. I
yeah.
don't know.
And you have full frontal nudity of both of its lead actors, which is not something you see in most movies these days.
Yeah, right, right.
And those
And
scenes are
yeah,
totally not sexual either.
no, no. Ooh, man. Yeah. I know I'm thinking of the birthing scenes. Blah. Yeah. Um, Also, I love that, side note, she, like, totally knows construction and builds a whole wall and secret room in her house.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I was like,
And she hides the big picture, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. I
And
just thought
and the other thing that struck me about the big picture is where the glass is damaged on it. It's, like, right over her eye,
her eye,
so
yeah,
it's, like,
yeah.
calling attention to gaze.
No,
How do you look?
completely. And she, like, that on the wall against the billboard outside, like, kind of just, like, staring each other down, kind of, like, oh, that was just creepy,
Yeah,
and,
it's the
like,
most uncomfortable staring contest in movies, right?
yeah, no, so true, so true. And her little, trying to the snow globe that breaks the glass. I don't remember what was in there. Was
It
it
was the
like,
little ballerina
was
figure,
it ballerina? Okay, okay.
with the glitter.
Yeah, I knew it had glitter. I knew it had, like, gloopy glitter. I remember the gloopy glitter.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah, the movie
I
is
have
so, it's very tactile in that way. Like, there were so many times, like, the sound, I was just sort of like, "Woah," when she's cooking, oh, woah, like, when he's eating, blah, it, like, really
yeah.
had, like, a visceral reaction to me, like, for me, in a way that, like, I don't get that often. I watch a lot of movies. I don't get it that often, and this was totally just, like, it got me in the gut.
One of the things that, I thought about, and I don't know that I don't know that I can support it with the text of the movie, is that I think she dies in the car crash, and the rest of it is her afterlife.
Ooh.
Because when I
Oh.
mean what the
Whoa.
car crash is precipitated by her seeing them tearing her face off the billboard, and she's looking at that, and then she gets t-boned by the truck.
Huh.
She's completely unharmed by that crash. I don't believe
I know,
that.
yeah, I didn't believe that. Um, huh, that's an interesting one. You're right. I mean, that it could be.
But I don't know.
Well, I mean, in some ways, like, yeah, yeah, no, it could be. It definitely could be. In her like rebirth. Huh. Sorry, I was thinking.
This
No,
movie
I
has a
wonder. I wonder. I think, yeah, and I think there's a lot of ways that, like, I don't know. I think the what made you think that though, or what made you like I don't know read that? That's I'm interested in why you read
I
that
don't
way.
know.
You don't
I
know?
can't really tell where that came from. But I mean, well, actually, I do know where it comes from. There is a certain existential loneliness in this film. She
Hmm.
doesn't have friends. There's
Yeah,
nobody else in the film but her, Sue, and Harvey. I mean, it's just so weird.
yeah,
I mean, it's completely depopulated except for the subject of the substance itself. you
hmm.
know and it's so non-specific about the substance. What is the substance? Who's creating the substance? you know I mean, none of that matters, but you know is this because she's creating it in her head?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wow. Huh. I didn't think of that at all, but that definitely could be a reading of it for sure. Man.
I think it's more interesting if it's not.
Yeah, yeah, me too. But it's still I mean, it is I mean, I guess the thing is it doesn't matter either way. It's like if this is her like afterlife vision, it's still bad.
And it's still
It's
horrifying.
still really bad. Like like that she has even in the afterlife she has the need to try to
Just
be
conform, yeah.
different. Yeah, yeah, be who she wishes she was. Another thing that I found weird about it was that when they rebirth when the other version of herself is born, it's not necessarily like a younger version of her, right? It's like a new person based off of her. I thought that was kind of interesting because, like, I had gone in thinking it was like a younger her, but it wasn't. It was like someone with their own identity, their own, it was part of her, but they had a different name. They didn't, no one said, oh, that's her, like
Yeah,
20 years ago or whatever. Um,
yeah,
and that
she's
was,
she's Mrs. Hyde.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
It was
she's
just,
and she's and she's all id. I
yeah.
mean,
Oh,
she's
yeah.
all just nothing but id. I mean,
Oof, yeah. It's yeah. Oh my
she's
goodness.
a vile character, and that's her ideal form of herself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But is it like the I mean, yeah, is it the ideal form of herself? It's the ideal form of herself for other people, you know?
Yeah,
Because like that was another thing too, like when the older version has her days, like the fact that she was kind of gorging herself on food and doing these things that she I don't know, that she didn't do before or like kept from herself before. I liked that too. I felt like that I related to as well. Like she got to indulge in what she wanted to eat or watch on TV or do, you know what I mean? And like she didn't do that before.
yeah,
Because she was trying to maintain this certain image. And I felt like I think that's the creepiest part of this movie is how relatable it felt to me, even though it was a
yeah.
monster movie and like
It's very. I
with
mean, it's
36,000 gallons of blood.
yeah,
Like that I understand that as a 42-year-old woman. Like I was like, "Yes, yes, this is the problem." Yes, I get that. I
yeah, and
get
it strikes
this.
me that this is also a pandemic movie because that's what I mean.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
sheltering in place, and she's like pandemic baking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She can't interact with other people or yeah, totally. Ooh. even creepier now. Mm. And then, yeah, Margaret Qualley.
I don't have any objections to Margaret Qualley really as an actress. I think she's a more interesting actress than her mother is.
Who's her mother? Do I not? I
Andy
don't.
McDowell.
No, really? How did
Yeah,
I not know that?
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow. All
I
right,
mean,
that
yeah,
makes
she's
a
a
lot of
nepo
sense.
baby, but she's not an
Yeah, nepo
annoying nepo.
baby. I didn't
She's not
know
an
she was a
annoying nepo
nepo
baby.
baby. Oh, why did you have to spoil her for me?
She's not an annoying one though. It's not like she's Dakota Johnson.
No, that's a oh man. I watched some of those Dakota Johnson rom-coms lately. I don't know
Did you
why.
see Madam Web?
I did see Madam Web.
Oh my god.
All right, I didn't hate it. I'm
Oh, I hated
sorry.
it. I
I
hated
didn't
it.
hate it was ridiculous. I think that I went into it being like ridiculous. Like,
I
and then
thought
I
it was
just
I thought it was incompetent at almost every level.
yeah, no, it was pretty bad.
So,
Um,
but
hilariously, I watch these really bad movies while I exercise, which makes me think of The Substance
I
and
think don't we all? Yeah. I
but
mean,
Margaret Qualley
I watch slasher movies while I'm hula hooping, so I understand.
yes, yes. Margaret Qualley, like, I was thinking of her, like, what other roles she's had, and the only other things I've seen her in are The Maid and then that bit part in, uh, the Lorgos Lathramos how do you say his name? I'm
Oh,
blanking on the
Yorgos
name of the film.
Lanthimos.
Yeah,
Oh,
what
yeah. Um, Poor
I know.
Things.
Poor Things, yeah. I
Yeah.
think those are the only 2 things I've seen her in, and I was trying like, thinking about her body of work, like, it's like
She has a substantially bigger role in Kinds of Kindness.
I didn't see Kinds of Kindness yet because it's super long and I have no time to
Yeah, I
I
know.
had no time to watch The Substance, but I was like I told everyone at my programming job, which is at a historically women's college, and I was like, "I'm going to see this and no one can bother me." I was like, "I'm signing off of Slack right now and you're just gonna have to wait till I'm done." Because I just needed to see this one that badly.
Yeah, I
But I
had
was
this.
thinking about her, like, body of work and how, like, odd like, what's her role in Kinds of Kindness? Is it, like her roles seem to be, like, very, like, feminist and, like
Yeah,
y
they tend to be. I mean, she was also in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh,
She
yeah.
played one of the Manson kids.
She played a pair of feet.
Yeah, she played a pair of feet. Yes, exactly. And
Yes.
she was in Drive Away Dolls as well, which is
Oh, I didn't see that one. I need to see that one.
no,
Did
no, you
you
don't.
no,
No,
I know. I've heard it wasn't good. I
it's
know.
not good. But
No.
it's an interesting companion piece to like the rest of her work this last like year or so.
Yeah, I wonder
But you
I
know,
feel
it's
like
funny that you bring up Poor Things because this movie reminds me of Poor Things a lot. Because you have the hollowing out of a woman who is then resurrected as a younger self,
mhm, mhm.
you know?
Yeah, and, like, learning the ways of the world works.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, totally. And in that, I like, Quali played, like, another
The next version of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah, yeah, so it's kind of fun, it's kind of strange. I'm just thinking about, like, liking her body of work and how it's sort of building. It feels like she's taken on lots of roles that didn't exist before for a very long time, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah, and I really like that. The Maid was, like, just, like did you watch that show? It was, like,
I did not.
devastating. It was, like, a devastating portrayal of, like, an abusive relationship. It was, like, just very, like that's another one I related to, unfortunately, and I was just like, "This is very real."
Mhm.
So even though they're, like, completely kind of blown out stories, like, the fact that there's, like, pieces of them I can relate to just yeah, these roles didn't exist for women and didn't we couldn't talk about these things. And, I'm glad there's a movie that especially The Substance and the way that it portrays aging. Because I am how do you think all of Gen Z, is gonna age on the internet? This is, like, something I'm fascinated by, and I want to kn like, I can't wait to see.
Well, I think AI photo filters are gonna be like the substance of the future, if they're not already. I mean,
Also, it
I know
yeah.
plenty of women of my generation that use photo filters. I
Yeah,
mean, and and I know a lot of trans women because I'm trans. Uh, and that is like that is like the currency of like trans representation of oneself on social media.
huh, the face filters, okay. I am also convinced that, like, plastic surgery is gonna have another, like, reboot
Yeah,
because
I mean
I think it just feels like that's, like, inevitable.
it already is.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
it's
that's
just, I mean, it didn't dip, it never went away. Still
true,
have people
true.
doing it.
I don't know, I guess I that is something I think about a lot, and I feel like the substance is, like, one of like, a reminder.
It's
It's like,
cautionary tale.
remember everyone, you age." One of the best, like, experiences I ever had was working in an office with, like, 5 I assisted 5 women, and they were all, like, a range of ages, including, like, relatively older, like, twice my age, I think. No, more than that. She was, like, 3 times my age, and all of them told me about aging, like, repeatedly when I would show up as a 22-year-old in high heels, and they would be like, "So this is gonna happen, and this is gonna happen, and this is gonna happen." I remember being like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever," but they did set me up for a knowledge of my future in a way that, like,
And
I
then it all
appreciated.
happened.
Yeah, I appreciated it. Like, I was like, "Oh, yeah, Hilda said this would happen." And it did. So, I don't know, this movie feels like that. Like, I wanna show all of my Gen Z students and be like, "Here you go. This
Yeah,
is"
this is what your skin is going to look like
Exactly,
soon.
please
Sooner than you would like.
wear some sunscreen. Like
Stay out of the sun and stay away from cigarette smoke, and you may prolong
Exactly.
it for about a couple of years.
Exactly. Exactly. It, like, feels like it's funny because it's like it feels like a cautionary tale about something that shouldn't be a cautionary tale. I don't know.
I mean, I think it's interesting that the kinds of roles that we're talking about here, in very extreme kind of horror movies, exist because women have started making horror movies.
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, I would love to program a series of just nothing but uh, the Revenge, this film, Raw, and Titan,
Oh my god. Yes. Oh, so good. Oh,
because I
man,
mean,
Raw is, like, one of my top
Raw's
favorite.
wonderful,
Oh,
and it's
man.
similar to this film.
Yeah, I know. I kept getting the directors mixed up, I won't lie, at some point because I thought they were the same person, and then I was like, "Oh, no, they're not at all," but
Well, they're
they're
French.
definite yeah, yeah, they're French. They're definitely in the same, like, feeling. The body horror too. I'm trying to think of I don't know enough about I have a friend who's, like, an expert in body horror, I should ask him, but, like, I don't know that much about female directors in body horror history.
There aren't many of them. I mean, but
That's what
some of
I
them
thought,
are
but I
there.
don't know.
But there are
Yeah,
some. Um, that would
yeah, I
make
don't
it
know.
really,
I'm
really hard.
interesting. I'm sorry, I didn't I don't have that information, but it was something I wanted to think about more because it does feel like there's more of it than there ever was.
Yeah.
But
And it's interesting to me to see the expanding influence of David Cronenberg throughout movies.
oh yeah. No, definitely. I mean, I feel like I've seen like Videodrome references like so much in the past decade of my life. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that movie was really prescient, though. I mean,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
it postulated that the world was going to be determined by information, and what determines your reality by what you're watching on television.
Yeah.
Which and it's telling that the evil people in Videodrome are a right wing conspiracy that are like trying to take over a TV network.
Exactly, exactly. Hence the reason I've seen it in everything now,
Yeah,
but I don't
we
yeah, that should be, like, required viewing for
yeah, that
everyone.
there is a shot in this film when she's having uh, lunch with Harvey,
Ugh.
in which a fly lands in her drink, and I am
Oh,
convinced that that
yeah,
is a marker to tell you
yeah.
this is where this film is gonna go.
Yeah, yeah, right? Oh,
Just
man.
be warned.
No, so true, and yeah, I felt like that in the Shining hallway too. I was like, "Oh no. Oh
Yeah.
no, I know what goes on here." Like, I know what's gonna happen. But even though there were all those hints, it was still, like, shocking, which I loved because I thought it was like I thought, "Oh, yeah, yeah, here's another reference," but then, like
Yeah, they set it up for, like, a certain level of, like, practical effects, gore, and mayhem, and then
yeah.
just completely exceed it.
I know, I know. It did its job. I was worried it wasn't gonna fulfill itself, but I was fulfilled with
Yeah.
36,000 gallons of blood.